Open up the door, it's Dave!
Who?
Dave! D-A-V-E!
Dave?
Right, man, Dave.
Dave's not here.
One of the more intriguing inventions that ever came out of the Walt Disney Company was this idea of audio animatronics. These are devices that are like robots, basically, but they were developed in the 1950s to emulate human action. So basically, they would record someone doing an action, then they would have a little hydraulic system that would make a device move that would emulate that action so it could repeat it over and over again. These were recorded on tape, and then when the tape was played back, it would actually work that way. So I found a little video of when they were building the Carousel of Progress that talks about that just a little bit.
Stages for the other acts are being assembled at other places in the studio for a complete audio animatronic dress rehearsal. Now this contraption here might look like something from outer space, but it's actually a control harness for programming the actions and gestures of our audio animatronic figures. Shall we show them how it works?
Really won't.
This is the Carousel Theater host. Whatever the man in the harness does, this figure will respond simultaneously in the same manner. Would you care for your life? I don't think we better. No smoking on the stage. He can, read the newspaper. How about showing him how you read the newspaper? What's the date of that thing? 1890. The operator of the control harness has to be a bit of a ham actor, as you can see. You know, all of the operator's actions are recorded on tape, and separate tapes are made for each of our figures. And it takes lots of rehearsal and refinement to get the gestures to be lifelike. Adding dialogue is a separate operation. For this, the operator synchronizes his lip movements with a pre-recorded dialogue track. In this way, we make the figures talk. This electronically controlled method of programming can give us a wide range of movements. A broad gesture to the wink of an eye. That's it. Thank you. Now, for a better understanding of the Carousel Theater, let's go over to the brain of the audio animatronic figures. These machines are what make the audio animatronic figures move and talk. The actions, including facial expressions from the lifting of an eyebrow to a smile, and the dialogue, are programmed on tape. Okay, ready for a demonstration, Herb? Now, when this first machine finishes with its phase, as it is going to do pretty soon, it'll trigger this other machine, which programs the next phase of the show. Now, while this is happening, the first machine will rewind itself to its starting point. Yet during this interchange, we don't lose so much as the wink of an eye.
And then over here in the Hollywood studios, there's actually one of the original audio animatronics that was ever created. And we'll go in and just take a look at it in just a minute. But I want you to realize that this was one that was created for Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. And it was actually taken by Bob Gurr and set aside for some period of time in his house during a move or something with the Walt Disney Imagineers. So he had it and no one ever bothered to ask him for it. And then at some point he returned it. There was a big mystery about it according to legend, but he always had it and he knew where it was. So he gave it back at some point to the Walt Disney Company and it's on display now here.
So we'll head into Walt Disney One Man's Dream, which is near Toy Story Midway Mania. Now, as you go in, it's got an interesting retrospective on some of the things that Walt Disney had done, especially as it relates to the Walt Disney World property. You go along and you see a lot of interesting, immersive sort of things that talk about the history and so forth, and it's kind of cool. They have this audio animatronics section where they talk about Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, and they show you the display that they used to actually help create some of the audio animatronics. So when you look at the audio animatronic figure of Lincoln, you can see all the articulated parts and where the pneumatics are and how they did the different movements and so forth. You get a feel for how it works. And then as far as programming it to do the large motions, they actually use these controls with buttons and dials to record up how it works so they can make it do exactly what they wanted to do. Now here's another example where they're working on the Pirates of the Caribbean at some point and how that came together. So you get a feel for what audio animatronics is and how it comes together.
It's really interesting the way the audio animatronics have evolved over time. You've got some really intricate motions they could do now. With computers, it's much easier to create these robotic motions that don't look so forced and don't use the same hydraulic systems. So when you look around, you see some really cool audio animatronics in different places.
With over 115 individual audio animatronics, the Pirates of the Caribbean is a great place to see a large number of these things that they've created. You can see them, some of them have large movements, some of them have small movements, but you get a feel for what they all look like as you ride through the attraction. So here's just a few as you go through to kind of give you a sense of different styles and how they work.
Where be Captain Jack Sparrow? Speak up! Or do you fancy a swim with Davy Jones?
Who's Jack?
Oh, quit your clucking. The gentlemen want the rum. Don't ya, boy?
Now, you scurvy scoundrels! Do I hear 10? A hen for a I'm called Bill and Nice Keys.
A toast to Paris and its many shiny rewards. As a career, what could be more rewarding? Drink up, show up. I humbly accept this magnificent treat.
And for my money, one of the coolest audio animatronics is actually here in Toy Story Midway Mania. When I went in recently, I noticed it was covered over, but there's actually a Mr. Potato Head figure that, while it may seem like, wow, what is the big deal with the audio animatronics there? It's actually really cool the way they did it, because they put a face on it that's actually a video face, so that it actually has more emotions and can do more things while the arms move around and whatever. But the cool thing it can do is it can actually take his ear out and put it back in. So they've actually come to a point where they can do some things that are so far outside the bounds of anything you've ever seen before. So here's what that looks like.
Salesman at the door with a mustache. I said, tell him I've already got one. Thank you, thank you. Hurry, hurry, hurry.
What's your point, David?